In eastern Nova Scotia, in the small community of there lived an elderly couple, Mr. and Mrs. Fisher, both nearing their 80s. The Christmas season was nearing, but Mr. and Mrs. Fisher had no children of their own or any relatives to share the festivities with, both having moved away from their native Ireland in their youth and leaving all family behind. Neither wallowed in these circumstances, both accepting their lives as they were. But they couldn't help but feel a bit lonely when, while out and about in town, they saw families together dancing, singing Christmas carols, and drinking eggnog. But, unlike what they thought, they weren't completely alone, for you see, inside their home lived a cough god, or house spirit, who watched over the couple and loved them as if they were his very own parents, even if they couldn't see him. In the nights he cleaned the floors, washed the dishes, and tidied up the counters. Mrs. Fisher, always surprised to find the house so clean, assumed it was Mr. Fisher, and Mr. Fisher always assumed it was her. The cough god, happy to be of service, allowed them to believe this and continued to help them, needing no compensation other than to see them smile. But when he saw their sadness increase as Christmas approached, the cough god couldn't bear it. He paced back and forth in his cubbyhole in the attic, his little home within the home, thinking of what to do to bring his humans joy again. Suddenly, an idea came to him. He snapped his fingers. Satisfied he had found the right one, he dashed from his cubby, racing for the kitchen where Mrs. Fisher was about to begin baking. The cough god hopped onto the counter, his smile wide if only Mrs. Fisher could see. He waved his hands over her, his magic passing along his shiny new idea into her mind. "I think I'll make gingerbread," she said, believing it to be her own true desire. She rolled out the dough, carefully crafting a gingerbread figure, giving him eyes, a smile, and 2 arms, and 2 little feet. The finishing touch was a cinnamon drop for a nose, Mrs. Fisher placing it in the oven. She and the cough god watched as the oven's burner turned bright red, the gingerbread boy inside heating up nice and warm. When it was done, Mrs. Fisher put her oven mitts on and pulled out the tray, sliding it onto the counter where the cough god stood. Mrs. Fisher stepped out of the kitchen to let her husband know about the new tasty treat, and when she did, the cough god possessed the gingerbread. Using his magic power, he slipped into the artificial body, the limbs feeling stiff. "Not so roomy as I expected," the cough god said, trying to move his arms around. "But it will do." Taking his position on the edge of the counter, the cough god turned gingerbread boy waited for his humans to return, anxious to see their reaction. He put his 2 stubby hands on his hips, making himself stand as proud and erect as he could. When Mrs. Fisher guided her husband into the kitchen, the cough god took a breath. Here was the moment of truth. For a split second, neither seemed to notice the gingerbread boy was standing, but then Mrs. Fisher let out a loud gasp, falling back into her husband. "Hello," the gingerbread boy said, raising one of his arms. What's happening? What is it?" Mrs. Fisher asked Mr. Fisher, but the elderly man had no better idea than she. He stared at the oddity before him, utterly speechless. "I am called Oswey," the gingerbread boy said, trying his best to smile. "I am your cough god, your house spirit." "House spirit?" Mr. Fisher questioned, more to himself than the boy, who nodded in affirmation. "I have lived here alongside you for many years." "You have?" Mrs. Fisher pulled away from her husband's arms, crinkled her nose as she looked down at the figure on the counter. Oswey went to give her a thumbs up, only to realize he didn't have them in this form. "When you found cleaned pots, the cleaned counters, and clean sheets, but couldn't remember doing them, that was me." "You?" "Yes, it was me," Oswey announced again, proud of his work. Feeling more confident now, he leaped from the counter to the kitchen table, landing like a pro. "House spirits are friends to humans, so please don't be afraid. I will not hurt you." The gingerbread boy explained why he was in this form. He wanted to give them some company beside themselves after seeing them so sad from watching those lucky enough to have children and grandchildren. His soft tone, combined with his sweetness, brought Mrs. Fisher around to him quickly, but Mr. Fisher remained skeptical of the cough god for a week afterwards. While Mrs. Fisher and Oswey cleaned the home, he would watch the gingerbread boy, carefully analyzing him for any sign of hostility or defects in his character. But none appeared. As Christmas inched closer, Mr. Fisher, despite his best efforts, came to love the gingerbread boy like his wife. The two coming to view him as their son. On the big day itself, the Fishers and Oswey celebrated together, singing Christmas carols, eating ginger snaps, drinking eggnog, and unwrapping their gifts, just like any other family. Seeing as Oswey's appearance was sudden, the couple couldn't afford to get him any gifts, but the gingerbread boy waved off their concern. He was happy to be their gift. There was no need for a gift of his own, for something he did out of love. When Christmas ended and the holidays were over, Oswey explained to Mr. and Mrs. Fisher it was time for him to return to his natural form. They protested, asking why he couldn't stay. "My body is not sustainable," he said, pointing to his torso, growing stale and soft. "If I stayed, I would crumble." "Will we ever see you again?" Mrs. Fisher asked, doing her best to stay composed. "This is my home." Oswey smiled. "I will always be here with you. Look for me in my work. But we will never see you again." Mr. Fisher pointed out, his voice weak. "If you wish to see me, every holiday season bake a gingerbread figure and leave it out for me." Mrs. Fisher promised she would. And so Oswey left the gingerbread boy's body, going off back into the attic to rest. At first, as the days passed, the couple didn't notice his handiwork, leading them to believe they did something wrong, causing him to leave. But one morning, close to the end of January, Mrs. Fisher noticed her dishes received a cleaning, and she knew for a fact neither she nor her husband did it. Picking up one of the pots, she looked it over. "He's still here!" She called to her husband. "He's still here!"